Hello, Folkenflick. Good morning. It's a foggy morning here in the Silver Coast region of Portugal. I was thinking when I was waking up, I saw this really cool video from a guy who has a podcast. It's called Rules4Rulers. And it's interesting. I posted that on Globe Hackers Facebook page, and it's something to look at, especially if you're one of these people. I don't know what percentage of the blogosphere, the people in the world, are interested in people like Moldbug and his monarchy ideas, but you might want to look at that if you're curious about that. So the other thing was, it's interesting that, everything is, in politics is done for effect. And the effect is basically keep my career, keep my membership in the exclusive club of politicians, and make money through the revolving door between public and private, quote unquote, service. So these people in power, make money, more money than most people if they're good at it, if they're good at keeping power and wielding power and influence and so on. Because there's lots of money in politics, especially in the United States, and everybody knows that. Over the years, we've fought to keep North Korea from becoming a nuclear power, having nuclear weapons, and we've had all kinds of Iran deals to keep Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And these are tiny countries, itsy bitsy teeny weeny countries when it comes to military spending. The United States dwarfs everyone. The United States and Russia, ostensibly are busy upgrading their nuclear weapons and making them even more deadly, making them more usable, which is scary as hell if you think about it, because every time they game out a situation where nuclear weapons are used, it always spins into a strategic nuclear weapons conflict that wipes out cities around the world. Absolutely idiotic to think that, well, we're going to make some tactical nukes that are hypersonic, that, first strike stuff, not defensive stuff. If you're going to have a nuclear umbrella, it should be completely defensive. But no, we're going the offensive route. And yet we're worried, politicians are worried about Iran. Give me a break. The scary thing is Russia, the United States. They have the dangerous nukes, right? And yet there's money to be made in the culture wars and in politics by creating all kinds of panic and fear about Iran getting nukes. But of course then, everybody pushes and pushes until there's a big conflict in Ukraine, and then we forget about Iran and North Korea. And meanwhile, everybody just continues on. I don't know if Iran wants nukes. But anyhow, that's interesting, isn't it? If you don't realize that all of this stuff that centers around politics in the media or, just in politics is done for effect by people in power who love their membership to the exclusive club and make lots of money. You can make more money being Jeff Bezos, obviously, but they make plenty more than your average person. And there are conflicts of interest between all of these pundits and experts that you see in so-called mainstream media, cable news outlets, and so on, because they are working for big corporations that profit from the war industry, military-industrial complex. It's just a fact. So it's odd. Every time you think about it and explore carefully, you find these oddities. The irony is palpable. It's crazy. And there we have it, you know. It's like we really should be afraid of America because it's not afraid to wield its power at all. And then if you're a new right person or a trad person, you want to have traditional societies or little kingdoms around the world, you should think about what globalization is and how you got your computer and all the technology that you're using and take for granted. Because you wouldn't have any of this without globalization and without a certain amount of Americanization of the whole world. If we were all just trad people living in our little trad bubbles in little nation states or city states around the world, there would still be conflict. Go back to world history. Things wouldn't be any better than they are now. I mean, we're living in probably the best time in history for people. I mean, there are billions of people who are doing pretty well. Yes, 10 million people starve to death every year, mostly children. And that's bad. And we have all these shootings in the States, but on the same day that people are getting shot in shopping malls, there's 1 million people playing golf. Which is to say that whatever you're pissed off about, think about how fortunate you are to have running water, hot water, potable water out of the tap. Well, not in Michigan, but in most places. And you take so much for granted, you know? Even the fact that you can go out and buy a firearm to go kill people with. That's pretty amazing that you can do that. So don't get so pissed off. You know, calm down. I wish everybody would just take a breath in the world, you know. We get riled up because hypernormal stimuli and outrage tweaks our hormones and grabs our attention and gets us all emotional. And that's why we get freaked out and pissed off. If we were really curious and really paying attention, we could notice all the good things that are around and all the bad things that really need to be fixed, and how there are certain systemic and structural issues that need to be addressed. And also, you know, the substrate, the ecosystems, the cultures, the value systems, and so on, the incentives that need to be worked on in order to be able to make the changes, the little tweaks that need to be done to make things better. You don't really have to tear down everything to make things better. A lot can be done if we paid attention and participated as individuals and groups of individuals and communities and organizations. I mean, people are trying. There are lots of people who are trying. And more of us need to put in a little bit of effort. You think about it, 4 hours a month wouldn't probably kill a person to solve a problem in your neighborhood or community or city or country. Anyway, don't get so mad. You don't have to go out and kill people. You can figure out a way to play golf. Things aren't as bad as they seem. And if you're having trouble keeping a positive state of mind, then try to seek some help. I think you can do it. Okay, Bulihamti, out.